This week's episode of One Piece, for me, was fantastic. Especially if you're able to read between the lines, really delve into the dialogue and to explore certain aspects of, the nation of Dressrosa. But either way, some of the minor points. Finally, they get Bartolomeo to stop. Well, not really stop crying, but at least get him to go after Luffy. He's like, we've been doing this for like 3 or 4 episodes of him fanboying over Zoro, and that's all good. That's funny. But I mean, like, yeah, Zoro needs to get to see Luffy and tell him about the plans. Like, stop crying, Bartolomeo. Go get Luffy now. So I'm glad that he's finally off to do that. Then Violet, who's running towards the palace. She's obviously lied to Sanji about that person from the government coming to help her. The government is practically working with Don Flamingo, so that's not going to work out. So now she's going to the palace to do what? Who knows? Maybe she's going to do something to destroy palace defenses and get people in there. Who knows? But, that's interesting. But what really just took off for me in this episode was it starts off with Law and Don Flamingo fighting. And it's a fantastic fight. These are just ignoring the fighting fish, kind of just chopping them into pieces. The bridge is destroyed immediately in seconds. Like, this fight between these two would end up epic. It'll destroy everything around them. And I'm glad it's gonna lead into that because there's no more Caesar to keep away from Don Flamingo, no more Fujitora. He's disappeared off somewhere. So now it's just nothing but Law and Don Flamingo. Like, you and me, fight, boom, and I can't wait to see more of that. That doesn't last long though. Although now this is where it really takes off. Momonosuke, reminisces about the first time he ever saw Don Flamingo when he was in Dressrosa with Kanjuro and Kinemon before they had to escape. And it shows Don Flamingo drowning one of the gladiators and saying, it seems like he's saying he's disappointed in the fact that he didn't die in battle while in one of the matches, saying, if you're not going to be able to kill your opponent, at least you yourself have to die to satisfy the people for their craving for blood and death. And it really shows just like how really extreme Don Flamingo can be, especially in his beliefs of satisfying that cruel nature of humanity. He believes like no matter how kind a person is or how generous or how noble, deep down inside there's that cruelty in them. There's that dark side, and that'll never escape. No one is born without evil. People are born with darkness in them, and you can't get rid of that. And it really just really interests me and how, Don Flamingo's insight on that. And then it's supported when it goes back to Rebecca and her fighting. And for the most part, it's still she's fighting a bunch of random soldiers. But she's fighting using a unique technique, using observation haki to not only dodge the people's attacks, but redirect their own strength, strength of arm to topple them over and make them fall into the water, thus making them lose. And apparently she's been doing this for so long, she's never once injured one of her opponents. They've all lost due to this technique. And of course now all the people are booing her, like, fight seriously. And the announcer likes to say, like, her battle is quiet. It is not bombastic. There's no gloriously shining technique like we've seen from other characters. And he starts to say how beautiful her technique is, that this fighting style of hers, like a dance. And to see all the people in the Colosseum booing her despite this unique fighting style, it really emphasizes how true Don Flamingo's words can be. These people really do just want to crave blood and fighting. I mean, why else go to a Colosseum? You're not going there just to see the fighting techniques and the skill and the beauty of the fight between warriors. You're just there for the blood, to see people be cruel to each other so you don't have to be cruel yourself. But by sitting there watching this and just kind of like hoping for it, you are being cruel in your own way. And it is really just something to really look into, the human mind. But this was a great episode, if you can notice that. So I really loved this episode. I mean, Don Flamingo, in some way of his own twisted mind, is right about people always having a dark side. There's that cruel side to them, whether it be to flowers, bugs, other people. There's that craving to exert some aggression that's been built up for one reason or another. And it's really, getting to Rebecca, but at the same time, she's not letting it get to her due to the fact that, she's fighting for a reason. And it really is a beautiful thing to see. Definitely one of the pretty good episode, and I actually can't wait to see more. I'm hoping next week is gonna be more Law versus Don Flamingo, and hopefully Rebecca's gonna start. Her fights are starting to get serious. She's fighting one of the bigger opponents now, big names. I mean, I think his name was Rolling Logan, something like that. He has some flashy technique of rolling his opponent and then cracking, their legs, or like splitting their legs, so I guess their pelvis cracks, because I think that's what it sounded like. But yeah, hopefully there's just gonna be more development between those two things. Two different fights. Hopefully we get to see them next week. So until then, I'm Tony Dragon. Bye bye.